Hello there, YubTub. My name's One True Griff. I'm bringing you a Call of Duty Black Ops game on Summit. I thought I'd bring you quite a exciting gameplay. We're not going to use any guns. We're going to be using the Tomahawk piece of equipment. And I prefer using a video like this for something exciting. Yes, it's not as exciting as it could be in some of the stages because you spend a lot of time just running around. But when you come up to kill someone, there's a lot of skill involved. So I thought I'd use this because I'm not going to talk about the gameplay. So those of you who are just here for the gameplay can just watch the video. Don't have to pay attention to me. But those of you who want to listen, it's not about Call of Duty, so you can just watch it with the background. I know that I like watching things in the background anyway. Really, really nice clip here just before I start talking about what I'm going to talk about. He got raped. So, the topic is that I brought up in a comment section in one of the previous videos that, I've not been well for the last year. Basically, almost a year to the day, in fact. It started off just one morning. I woke up and I could not get myself out of bed. The only thing I could get out of bed for was to go to the toilet. And just to give you an idea of just how badly I needed to go to the toilet, on one of the days, because I ended up in going into hospital over the what's the best way to start this? I was ill. No idea what was wrong. GP had no idea. Went to a hospital. They said it would be stress. It was probably stress-based. Take antidepressants, and you'd be absolutely fine. He was completely and utterly wrong, and he's a cock, and I hate him. And because he's a doctor, he thinks he's a know-it-all, and therefore he must be right. We ended up at a very, very specialised hospital, one of the best hospitals in Europe, in fact, for what is wrong with me, as it turns out, but at the time we didn't know what was wrong, so it was kind of like a Hail Mary, and fortunately it paid off. So by the time I got to this hospital, it was December, so August to December I was not being treated whatsoever. We got to the hospital and my basic symptoms were no energy at all. It wasn't even a case of I was in bed sleeping, I was just in bed awake, unable to move. Well, I could move, but not enough energy to do anything, and I was going to the toilet a lot. Those were the main symptoms. By about, I must have arrived there at about 11 o'clock, and by 4 o'clock they diagnosed me with diabetes insipidus. I know you hear diabetes and you think, oh my god, it's not necessarily the worst thing, but there's going to be injections with insulin and whatever. That's not diabetes insipidus. That's normal diabetes. That's like type 1 or type 2 diabetes. This is different. This isn't a lack of insulin or an extortionate amount of insulin. This is diabetes insipidus. What that means is your antidiuretic hormone, or ADH, is not being produced, and the ADH is what controls your kidneys. It basically tells your kidneys to process the fluid, but basically to hold it in. I didn't have any of that, so any liquid that was going into my body was shooting straight out, so I was constantly dehydrated. And one of the funniest parts of all this, and I will remember it till, for the rest of my life, I absolutely guarantee it, is while they were trying to do all these tests to check and just sort of like confirm diabetes insipidus, they asked me to do a urine collection test over a weekend. And they gave me two 8-litre jugs. One for a Saturday and one for a Sunday. And they said, right, just fill these up over 2 days, make sure you start at a set time, and then when you change to the next day, do it at a set time, and so on. So I had 8 litres per day. My mum was there with me, who is a GP, so she's got the medical background as well, and she looked at them and went, look, that's not enough. So they said, well, how much is he going to the loo? She goes, a lot. So they ended up giving me an extra bottle per day, so I now had 16 litres that I could fill up per day. Now, if you think the average body goes through 2 litres of fluid per day, I'm already there 8 times what that should be. Now, we went through the urine collection process, and my mum took it back in on the Monday, and she handed over the 4 bottles, and they went, you haven't labelled these, what day is which? And my mum went, oh no, you don't understand. That's all Saturday. So I went through 32 litres of fluid through my body in one day. That's how bad it was. I was drinking constantly, and it was just coming straight out the other end. There was nothing that I could do. So that was one of the things that confirmed it. The other thing that I did, there was called a water deprivation test. And I promise you, if you've got something like this, water deprivation, when you are incredibly dehydrated, are the last 2 words you want to hear before the word test. It should have lasted 8 hours. It lasted an hour and a half for me before I was physically sick and they had to stop the test, because I'd lost that much actual body weight. I'd lost about 2 kilograms in fluid in that hour and a half. So from this is January now that they actually got me on pills to control that hormone. From January up until, we'll say, May, it was just, they've been constantly looking at all the other hormones that are being produced by the pituitary gland. They're looking at testosterone, cortisol, human growth hormone. Human growth hormone is the one when you hear about people with gigantism or dwarfism. That's, the growth hormone, either in abundance or none at all. That's where that comes from. So looking through all these different things, and I think basically so far, after seeing the actual head of the department about a month ago, it seems like the ADH being gone is the only thing that's actually been affected. And whilst this is a rare condition, it's about 1 in 250,000 people in the world will have a pituitary issue. Normally the first one that would go would be your testosterone, then it would be your growth hormone and cortisol, and then finally it's the antidiuretic hormone, because that's right at the back of the pituitary. So my body has basically gone to the antidiuretic hormone first, and then done bugger all else after that. So that's rare in itself as well. I've had 3 brain scans as well, because they're looking for the problem. The pituitary is right, basically inside the brain. It's right on the brain, and it's connected to the brainstem, and the brainstem controls everything. You can't live if your brainstem's damaged. So, I've had 3 scans, and all that they found is my pituitary stalk, the thing that's actually connected, the thing that connects the gland to the brainstem, should be about 1.5 millimeters to 2 millimeters thick on a normal person. Well, mine's 5. So I'm more than double normal size. So we know that that's the reason for all my problems. What we don't know, and we still don't know to this day, is what's caused that swelling, that inflammation. I keep hitting the mic with my hand because I'm gesturing for no reason other to myself. So what they've basically been able to do is they've managed to narrow it down to 2 things, or 2 possible things, and each is as rare as the other. It's getting ridiculous how stupidly rare this is. The first one is an autoimmune condition. This is what they think is most likely. Basically, my body is attacking itself, and hopefully it'll settle down. The inflammation will reduce over time, over the next couple of years or so, and whilst I won't get better, I'm going to be stuck with this for the rest of my life on pills. It's not going to get any worse. That's the hope, anyway. To give you an example of how rare it is, there is no official test for this, autoimmune thing, because it's so rare they haven't come up with a way of testing for it. They just let it play out, and if it's reduced, that's what it was. Lucky me, eh? And the other thing is a microadenoma. Now, an adenoma is basically a benign tumour, but from all the brain scans they can't see an adenoma, so it could be a microadenoma, and a microadenoma is something that you can't even see on a scan. Now, if it's a microadenoma, that swelling is going to get bigger and bigger and bigger, and the adenoma is going to get bigger and bigger to the point where we'll be able to see it. If we see it, I'll probably have to have brain surgery to have the adenome removed, or maybe even my entire gland removed, which means I'll be on pills for the rest of my life for all of the hormones. And like I said, I'll basically be having brain surgery, so we're going to try and avoid that at all costs, but, there's nothing you can do about it. As we currently stand on the 2nd of August as I'm recording this commentary, I'm waiting on the results because they had a massive conference about me to figure out what we're going to do. So, if you're interested, I hope you found what I was talking about quite interesting, because like I said, it is really, really rare, this, and some of the things that are happening to me are quite amusing. So, I'll keep you posted if you want. If you've bothered to listen to me for the whole thing, then thank you very much for listening. Keep watching the videos, and goodbye.